Well, this was not a planned live stream session. I spent about a good hour, hour and a half earlier tonight trying to figure out how to get this to live stream. Last weekend, I tried shooting with, I think, what camera was it? Oh, it was the M1 MacBook Air. But the problem was I was using a free version of StreamYard, and when I looked at the quality later, it was terrible. It looked like it was about 240, 240p. It was pretty bad. So I thought of what could I do, and I reached out to the company. They did offer to let me try 1080p. They also suggested I jack right into the router. Now I haven't jacked right into the router right now. Let me see. Anybody watching? I'm watching for comments too. I've got an interesting setup here, and I'll tell you about that later. But I thought of jacking into the router, and I actually just forgot to do that. But I have a live stream plan for tomorrow, and that's what I'm going to try. The setup I have right now is I've got my Canon R5, I've got the Ninja on top of it, so I can actually see if I'm properly in focus, if I'm exposed and everything's lit properly. And then, of course, down here on the screen, I've also got, I'm using OBS this time around. So OBS is free, and, well, we all like free, and I can do 1080, and that's what I'm supposed to be broadcasting in 1080. So if you're watching right now, let me know how this quality looks. Are we losing any dropped frames? Hey, Kevin, welcome from Florida. How's the weather down there? Are you guys baking right now? Up where I am, believe it or not, it's 41 degrees right now. 41 degrees, and it's going down to 31 tonight. So I was actually going to plant my tomatoes, put them in the garden because they're all pretty big. I've got them right here, and it is just absolutely cold tonight. So I'm not going to do that. But talking a little, and guys, feel free to ask questions. This is kind of, I'm just trying to test out this stream. I'm trying to test out my equipment. I want to see how well things are going, and please let me know. You need this setup. Okay, Jesse, what is it about the setup? Does it look decent? Yeah, I bet you're baking. I wouldn't mind a bit of your baking right now. So let me continue talking about the setup, and then we can get into things. So you'll notice also that the colored lights behind me, those are the ones I normally have down in the studio downstairs, and I put all four of them along the bottom, and they're shining upwards, so it gives it a bit more of a sort of a fancy look. This plant, this is real. If you were living down in Florida, which you are, then this plant here would be normally outside, planted in the garden. Right over here, where I'm pointing, you can see the light coming off my jacket here. That is a flat panel LED light. Normally, that's in the basement shooting up at the plant that's right here. And I know from your point of view, these might look identical, but they're different plants. So that kind of covers the hardware, and I'm just using a cheap tripod. Now, this is where the Canon EOS utility comes in. That's how you're able to see me. I've got an old 2015 MacBook Pro. It's not very powerful. So from the HDMI, no, what is it? What cable am I using? Yes, USB-C. I'm using a USB-C cable all the way to the R5, and that's where we're getting the signal, and that's the Canon EOS web utility that really makes that happen. Hey, John, good to see you, buddy. How are things going? Look, we got 6 concurrent users for a completely unplanned live stream. But OBS is the real key here, and what I think about OBS is that makes it real easy is that A, it's free. I have no problem paying for software that works. But when I looked at the cost of StreamYard, and I love StreamYard because, for example, Jesse, if I wanted to get a weather report for you in Florida and invite you in, all I have to do is send you a link and I can invite you in. It's that simple. But they want $50 a month. Now, if I sign up for a whole year, well, I get a bit of a deal. That's $468, but I don't know if I want to do live streaming all the time. So I thought, well, okay, let's do free because I don't get a lot. Believe it or not, if I recorded this separately, like I normally do with my AMA video, and put it online, I actually make about 2 to 3 times more money. I can make anywhere from $20 to $50 for that video. If it's plugging the R5 or the R1 or something like that, it's going to push up towards 50, but most of the times it's right around 20. Well, the live streams I did last week, 2 of them, I didn't even hit 20. So money comes in, and that's where OBS can really help you out. But OBS, I got to tell you, it's not the most friendly thing to set up. So for example here, if I want to do a Q&A session, I can just turn on this link to Keynote, and you can see it's not all set up properly. It's not very smooth. It's not like a lot of the applications. but it gives me something that I can work with. So and comments, like I can see your comments, you can see your comments, but I have no way of flashing them up on the screen. But Jesse, if you're thinking of doing this, if you have a Windows machine and you're doing this, it has, what is it called? Under Obs, View, Dock, it has a custom dock setting where you can basically bring in the chat and put them on the screen. There's some videos that tell you how to do it, but for some reason the Mac version doesn't have that capability. So let's take a look at some of the comments I've got here. What's going on? I've got 13 people watching already. It's Friday night. Aren't you guys out? Oh, right, COVID. We can't go out dancing, can we? All right, so let's see some of the comments here. Sammy, yeah, welcome, Sammy. And Tim, Village Mary, Mr. Mayor's with us. Wait, this isn't the Shopping Channel Live. Well, it actually is, and if you call in right now over the next half an hour, I have this new lens for you. This is the TT Artisan 21mm f1.5. I got to remember, let's hide this screen here because I'm looking at the wrong screen. I got too many pictures of me. 1, 2, 3, 4, if you can believe it, 4 screens of me. So anyhow, this is the TT Artisan. Right now, if you act, you can get it for $259.99 with free shipping. And the first 50 get a free UV filter. How's that for the Shopping Channel, Tim? Does that pull you in? Does that work? Let's see, Clive, laying on your face pictures. Really? Okay, so I'm laughing here because I just slapped this together because I have a live stream planned for tomorrow morning at 7:30, and I thought I'm going to cancel it. This doesn't look good. It's terrible. I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to disappoint people. They're going to get ready for this. So here's what I thought. I'm just going to set it up, test it out, see how it goes. I'm using a very basic setup. And I just took my lights from the basement, like the ones I normally use on the channel. They're all along the floor here. I'd like to be able to show you. I don't have my really good tripod, so I can't move things around as much. That would be really good to do, and that's why I kind of like the M1 because I can move things around. I'm a lot more mobile. And again, I got a flat panel light here, and so I haven't really changed anything else. And of course, above me, I have 6 what do you call those things? Lights in the ceiling embedded in the ceiling. Pot lights. I got 6 pot lights, but that's just for me so I can see and I'm not completely in the dark. So I'll tell you though, and I'm really amazed at the quality of these things. Let me grab one of them here. I got to be careful I don't pull the laptop with me. There we go. So these are the Ulanzi lights. Now, if you've been watching my channel long enough, you'll know that I'm giving away a set of Ulanzi lights, and I've been using these for about 6 months now. And I got to say that the quality of the light off these things, for the price, they're around $19 at B&H, and I'm pretty impressed with the light they give off. Now, if I do this, you don't see the true color, but these are really amazing. They're really tiny, and they're very easy to charge up. You just basically use a USB charger, and it's that simple. So after I shoot the video, the very first thing I do is turn the water heater back on, make sure the heat or air conditioning is back on, and then I plug those things and charge them up. So yeah, they're 4 of them, $80. You really can't go wrong. So the main thing is the light off my face is mostly like 5200 degrees. I just use another simple, again, I got this off of Amazon.ca. It's a flat panel light and they're very, very simple. So yeah, lighting makes a huge difference. And I've got my Ninja 5 here. I'm using a battery, but if it dies, I don't care because I'm just using it to see how I'm framed instead of the LCD at the side here. And when I look up accidentally at the Ninja, it doesn't look like I'm not looking at you as much, whereas if I look off to the side, it definitely looks a little bit different. So that's my lighting, and feel free to ask any other questions too. If you're a Windows user, Jesse, then that's going to be great. It's going to be easier to do, and there's a guy who did a video, and he basically just took this stuff from StreamYard, and it's the only problem with these kludgy things, though, is if StreamYard changes something, you might lose that capability. So there's that. Alex, but wait, there's more. That's not all you get. That's correct. You're watching the NHL draft. Want to see how the Jets are doing? You know what? Okay, we're going to go down memory lane here. And what was it? I think I was 21. It was the 90s. And of course, starting from the early 80s, I was a huge Blue Jays fan. Baseball, wow. Because when I came to Canada from New Zealand, I just, the idea of baseball is like, what is this? And I loved it. Now, Toronto had only gotten a baseball team back in 77 or 79, something around then. So they were pretty new and they weren't very good. But as 1985 started rolling around, they started making noise. They almost beat Kansas City to take the division champ. Or maybe they took the champ and it was the next setup because they've changed it since the 80s. So they started getting better and better, getting new players. And then in 91, I went off to college in Kentucky. And wouldn't you know it, they really started doing well. And they made it to the World Series. And the first year it was against the Braves. And in Kentucky, everybody was doing this. And I was amazed at how many people supported the Jays. Not because they liked the Jays, but they couldn't stand this, the chop. And so I made a bet with a friend of mine. He was from Georgia. We were about 4 hours away from Georgia, where he lived. And I said, let's make a wager. He says, oh, the Braves are going to take it. I said, we'll see. So I made a bet. Now, I'm a cunning little guy, so I didn't bet for money. No, I wanted to bet for something a whole lot better. I told him, I said, the winner has to wear whatever the other person gives them to wear of their uniform for up to 7 days. Or was it 2 weeks? It was one of the two, right? So basically, if he lost, then I could say, Eric, today you're wearing this Blue Jays getup. And he agreed. And we all know history, Atlanta lost. So still to this day, he owes me days. Now, the following year, he wanted to renew the bet. So I said, double or nothing. He said, yes. And he says, well, what if the Braves don't make it or the Jays? I said, whoever makes it the furthest, we'll base it on that way. So I love it. I should give him a call tomorrow and say, Eric, it's time to wear the Blue Jays gear again. All right. So let's see. It's a video game. You're playing video games and watching The Ordinary Filmmaker. I was actually playing Grand Theft Auto 4 earlier today. It's an old game, but I really like the way it goes. Mr. Camera Junkie, welcome, buddy. How you doing? Good to see you. And Georgia, somebody from Georgia, so telling stories about Georgia. Good to see somebody from Georgia here. And all right, so let's open up. You guys have any questions about live streaming, camera gear, or anything? While I'm waiting for questions, I got to tell you about this thing a little bit. I'm hoping to have this video published this weekend. I was sent this lens. This is the TT Artisan 21mm f1.5. Think about that for a minute. Be able to shoot wide open at f1.5 on a wide lens at 21 millimeters. It's staggering. I wish I could cue the B-roll right now, but I was just shooting the other day when it was sunny at some of the blossoms coming out on the trees, and it's amazing to be able to shoot that wide and yet separate your subject from the background is quite powerful. But this here, it's kind of deceiving in how it looks. Because what I've done here is, right on the end, that wasn't me farting, that was a lens fart. This is actually it here. And what they do is they provide you with this step up. See, if you take this off, oh, I gotta watch my glasses here. I should have my glasses on. That's what it looks like. Very, very small. And when I got this out of the box, I say this in the video too, when I got this out of the box, I thought, oh no, they've sent me the EFM mount. But no, this actually fits the RF mount, if you can believe it. Look at the size of this thing. It's really, really small. Okay, here, so it'll focus, because I got autofocus on. It's really, really tiny. But what's really nice about it is they give you this step up, so you can put on, I believe it's a standard 77 millimeter, which allows me, because if you're going to shoot at f1.5, and come on, if you get a lens like this, what's the first thing you're going to try? Yeah, how good is it at something like f1.5 fully open? But the problem is on a sunny day, especially this time of year when the sun's directly overhead, you're going to have to go to f16 or something because you're going to blow everything out. So that's where the variable ND filter comes in. So that's where I put this thing on. And it actually makes the R5 look a little bit more respectable because without this on there, it almost looks like an elephant's trunk. It's kind of funny looking. It's like a stubby lens. But this ends up giving it more of like a cine lens type look. But I was out there playing with this And I did invite the village mayor to come do a photo side of it, and he says he doesn't like this channel anymore, so he's not going to do it. No, that's not true at all. Because we were on complete lockdown here, and what I was going to do is leave it on the front porch. He was going to pick it up, shoot it, but he's not feeling so well, and so he's decided to pass on it this time. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to do a photo side of it because I'm not a photo guy. I might try to take some photos tomorrow and see how it goes, but the main thing I want to test out tomorrow, whether working with us, of course, is I want to see how this is for vlogging. Because remember how I wanted the 16 millimeter? So I'm going to set this up, probably do like an f4, because in that way, if I move the gimbal that much, I should stay in focus. Because again, it doesn't have focus and it doesn't have IBIS. So I'm going to use the gimbal, and I want to see how well it is for vlogging. But $250 US. Think about that. $250. Now the Nifty 50 is around $199, but $250 for an f1.5. I probably shouldn't be saying this because now you're not going to watch my video, but even the construction of this, like if you move the f-stop, it has a click is it every half stop? Yeah, every half stop. And then the focus ring, it's not so light that if you barely brush up against it, it'll change. You have to actually move it, but it's got a nice solid resistance. And if you've ever tried like the EFS 10 to 18 millimeter lens, you hold both in your hand. This one feels heavier, but it's actually 30 grams lighter. It's just well constructed. It's metal, glass, and even the mount. Look at that. It's a metal mount. So $250. How can you go wrong? All right, let's see some more questions. So Scott, hey Scott, I'll probably see you in Peter's live stream a little later. Just a little bit of clipping on the audio. Just FYI, no biggie. Yeah, well, and the thing, Scott, too, I should really be jacked directly into the router. I've got a 1 gigabit connection with 30 megabits up. And if I'm jacked in, it should help. But I have been having some trouble with streaming lately, or just the internet in general lately, so it could also be provider-based. But yeah, thanks. Any issues, let me know, because the whole purpose of doing this stream is not to make $1 million. It's just to kind of test this out to see if this is viable for me. Because eventually I want to be shooting this outside so my family can go about and do their regular daily stuff without any issues. What's the link to lens? I don't have the link this is where I got to be looking here, this camera. I don't have the link to the lens to give you right now, but as soon as I publish the review, which I think will likely be Sunday or Monday, I'll have all the stuff in there. And probably what I'll go ahead and do is when I take this and republish it a little later, I'll put the links in the description. Because, oh yeah, I know what I can do. They sent me an email, so let's see if I can just go into Gmail, and I'll pop you the link right now. Because you really can't go wrong with it. And let's see, I got to try to find out who sent this to me. This could be it here. No, that's not it. See, the problem is when you're live, you're trying to go through all your emails to find out who sent you what. Is this the one here? Are you in the US or Canada? I'm going to assume the US because it's a 10-to-1 ratio that's the case. And they make it for all the brands. They make it for all the major mounts. So you got Sony, L-mount Alliance, Nikon Z, and Leica M. But the real big news is this is for the RF mount, and there hasn't been a whole lot of that stuff lately. So here's the link. I'm posting it in. The TT Artisan 21mm f1.5. So there's the link. Yes, this is a manual lens. And here's another thing too. The first thing in the manual, and it's full color, by the way. So lots of nice little treats with this thing here. And you have, here's another thing too. You have not one, but two lens cap. One that goes on the extended, the step up. It actually screws in. And the other that goes right on top without that step up. Now I completely forgot what I was trying to say. So yes, it's a manual lens and there's no IBIS. I did shoot vlogging, which is why I got to go out and shoot again, without the IBIS, and it's very similar to Camera Conspiracies. I found it was very jerky, and you know what, if I got an R5 and I've got IBIS and I've got a gimbal, I'm going to use it. And here's the thing too, if you went out and bought a gimbal just for this and the lens, it would still be cheaper than a lot of Canon's primes, so there's that. We're up to 22. Can you believe it? 22 people on a completely unannounced live stream. Yeah, Nick, I think it's definitely worth trying out. I really do. For $250, it's kind of like the Nifty 50. But wait till you see my review. When I go out and do vlogging tomorrow, I'm going to try a few other things. Now, here's the thing, and this is why I've got the Ninja on top right now. I used focus peaking with this lens when I went out there, but once you start to get past f4, then it's kind of hard to tell with focus peaking, because a good 50% or more is mostly within focus. So when you're trying to figure out where's that middle point or where's that prime point you want to be, because if I'm following my sun, and let's say this is the focus area here, I want to try to keep my sun in the middle, so it's really hard to adjust it with the focus peaking. So when I got back, I did notice that not everything was 100% in focus, but it looks pretty good. And that's just me kind of getting used to it and try to get the settings right. So when I am following a subject that's moving, it does a really, really good job. But when I was taking the product shots, what I would do is I would turn off autofocus, and I would actually use manual focus and just zoom in, just manually adjust it so it's bang on. And that's the thing, is autofocus works great with moving subjects. But if you can, manual focus will really get you the best results if you've got a subject that isn't moving. Derek says, it probably looks like it has a Vaseline coating when you pixel peep. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm not a pixel peeper at my age with my eyesight. I'm just happy to be able to see. Scott asked, how cold it is up there, Simon? It was fairly cool there in Lower Michigan. So you and I, we're probably got the same stuff. It's currently 40 degrees Fahrenheit, going down to 31 tonight. Yay! So happy about that. I know. But you know what? The weekend it's supposed to warm up into 15, 16 degrees Celsius, which is probably 60 something and sunny. So I'm hoping to get outside, not do a lot of channel stuff. I'll probably get up early, go outside and just get the vlogging a few minutes, and that's enough to wrap up the video. So I want to get the video out of the way. And the nice thing about the live stream too is I don't have to do any editing afterwards. So that's why I hope this does work. All right, clipping on the sound. Okay, so how bad is the sound clipping? And is it completely in sync? That's the other thing too. Because the audio is going directly into the MacBook. Let's see, what do I have running on the MacBook? Let's turn that off. Let's turn that off. And turn that off. The fans are going. I'm plugged into the power. That would be annoying, because if the audio is clipping, live streaming is so much more difficult and almost requires a completely set of other gear to do it right. That's why I was really hoping the M1 Mac would work. But there's a few issues. And the big one, the Canon EOS webcam utility doesn't work on the M1, if you can believe that. Because I had everything set up and ready to go the other night. I was testing it out. It's like, this is so easy. The setup is great. And as soon as I tried to get the R5 to come in, no. And, well, Simon, use the webcam with the M1. It's 720. Yeah, 720. I know it's the entry level, but still, come on. 720 Apple? What is this, 1986? Come on, put 1080 in there. So we'll have to see about that. Sync is good. Clipping minimal. Yeah. See, that's the problem with the sound. Yeah. You can't win. How much equipment do you have to buy to be able to do a live stream? Now, this is where I'm hoping I still get the YOLO Live to try out, because I'll be able to use cellular on that, and then that will broadcast over cellular directly to YouTube. And I want to try that out too, but this is why I don't do a lot of live streaming. I try it every now and then, and I'm not happy with the quality. I do love the freedom, though. That's the great thing about it. And also, being able to do a Q&A video where I can follow up and say, well, John, what did you mean this or that? I really love that. I think it's a great technology for that format. It works really well. And I'd love to use StreamYard too. Like if StreamYard was $20 a month and it included 1080, I'd be all over that. But $50? I'd be lucky to break even on that. And I don't always do this for money. Like the main reason I do this, what I've told you guys, is as a learning experience, to have fun and to share my love of cameras and camera gear and all that stuff. This is an awful lot of fun. So it's when you get those dollars coming in, it really makes a huge difference because, for example, when Canon announced those 3 lenses, now obviously the 400 and 600, not doing that. I want to get a Corvette soon, and that's Corvette money. But the 100 millimeter f2.8 macro with a 1.4 times magnification, I'm all over that like my son and Smarties, right? It's just, how could you not? And so what this allows me to do, and I have a great relationship with my wife vis-a-vis the channel because everything I spend on the channel doesn't come out of our checking account. It's a hobby that pays for itself. So whenever I look at bringing in new equipment or new technologies, I always kind of look at it from a very simple ROI. And to do the live stream, it's negative at this point. My channel's not big enough that I can make enough to cover that $50 in the cost. And I think StreamYard, I think it's a little bit steep. I think they can offer a $20 a month 1080, but then not give all those other professional features. Like, I don't care if they keep their logo up there. Charge me $20, give me 1080, and be able to put the questions and comments on the top. That's great. To be able to record 4 hours? No. I think what they've done is they said, hey, look, here's something free and it's pretty good. And then if you want 1080p, you got to go right to the full end. It's kind of like the Apple way of doing stuff. Yeah, you can get this 3-year-old iPhone, but it won't give you enough memory, so you're going to have to spend $1,500 with us and stuff like that. What time is it? It's coming up to 9 o'clock. I've been broadcasting for how long? Tim, I wish you were here doing this with me. Tim, wouldn't it be fun if you're still watching? I'd love to do this with somebody like I did with FOMO last week. That was a lot of fun. So 28 concurrent viewers. That's pretty good. Let's see. So looking at some of the other questions here. Unfrozen now. Yeah. Well, it could be. I'm just using a gamer. This is my gamer set when I do Xbox. And that's why I might do tomorrow's, then just not do live streaming for a while. I really do think the M1 is a good way to go. What I noticed is when I was doing it with Stop the FOMO, the way the microphones that Apple has put into that, I didn't need a microphone or a headset. It works so well. The only problem I had was that the cam quality wasn't very good. So the other thing is to look at other microphones. My Tascam microphone. This is not a powered mic. Give me a second. I'm just going to walk away for about 30 seconds. I'm going to go downstairs and get my Tascam and plug that in and see how that sounds. So give me a second. All right, so I'm back. This is my main one. Now I think there's a 30-second delay. So let me know if you can first of all hear me with the Tascam. How is the sound? Is it pretty good? Is it tinny? Is there any freezing? Is there any breaking up of the audio? Can you hear me at all? I should see that soon. Now, while I'm waiting for your feedback, I'm going to plug this microphone back in and what's on my headset. And we'll see how that goes. All right, so the only reason I'm plugging this one back in is because I don't know if you could hear me with the other microphone. And this is part of the things too. I've got all the microphones and everything I need for doing regular video. I've got a Sennheiser MKE 400. I've got the Rode Video Mic Pro. I've got 2 Tascams. But now, come into a live stream and it's a completely different audio setup. You need different switchers. You need, it's just, that's why I didn't get into it. I was looking at about $2,000 worth of equipment. But stop the FOMO. He uses StreamYard. He pays the full package. And all he does is have a slightly better microphone and audio mixer, and he says that's really all he needs. So let's see, look at your comments. They're coming in now live. I can hear you, getting better. Not coming through the lav. Tascam is way better and cleaner. Okay, so let's do this. I'll put it on this side. There we go. So we'll try this. Oh, that's so much better. I can hear better. All right, so let's see how that goes. I'm going to do this for a little bit. Yeah, raise the gain. Let's see here. Let's go over to OBS. A lot of people call it OBS, but I just find that OBS doesn't sound very friendly, whereas OBS sound kind of cool, right? All right, so let's see settings on the microphone. Advanced audio probability. Let's try that word again. Properties. Balance. Okay, adjust the gain a little bit. Let's go 3 dB. Let me know how that goes. So I'm at 3 dB. Okay, well, so I've just gone up 3 dB. You said raise the volume, so I'm up 3 dB. And so let's just make your comments. Actually, I'm going to go, let's go 6 dB. Okay, 6 dB. And I'm just punching into the red a little bit, so that's probably too high. Advanced audio properties, probabilities. I think, oh, I have to. Let's try 4.3. The headset sounds the best to me, and it's just a little, yeah. It's noisy now. It sounds like, well, maybe it is just through the laptop. All right, so let's get some votes here. What do you want me to keep using? Use the Tascam through the laptop or the headset, which also goes through the laptop? Let's see here. Yeah, I'm going to go back. Ah. So put this one back on. All right, so yeah, kind of what I feared with this setup is the audio wouldn't be the best, and I really, this is kind of, the headset was better. Yeah, well, here we go. A $30 gamer headset is what I'm using, if you can believe that. The amount of money I've spent on microphones for the channel, and I'm using a gamer headset. But, you know, if you're thinking of doing live streaming, or you're thinking of starting a channel, you want to do live streaming, you want to do regular bits, I got to warn you, you'll spend almost as much on your setup for live streaming as you will for the regular part of the channel. Now, the camera you can reuse, but you need audio switchers, you need video switchers. I mean, you look what Peter Gregg does. I think Peter Gregg has to be the best setup for live streaming, and he does in an hour from now, he'll do his own live stream, and it runs, he's crazy. He'll do like 5 hours sometimes. But he's got an ATM Mini, he's got so many different things here, and he's got about 4 cameras hooked up, and it's just a brilliant setup that he has. And I actually talked to him probably about a year ago before he started live streaming, because I had played around with it, and I told him, I said, don't do it, Peter. It's very expensive. There's so many things you got to do. But he jumped in both feet, and he did. He had a decent amount of gear spent towards it. So yeah, I know what you're getting into. I think once Canon supports the M1 Max, it might be good to try again, but I think what I'm finding out here, this might not be good enough. It depends on your feedback and what you guys put in the comment section down below. If you're willing to tolerate the poor audio and, you know, stream with an R5. So how's the video look? I'm sure it looks pretty good there from what I can see in the Ninja. The lighting looks good. But as I tell everybody when it comes to shooting video is your audio matters most, because if the audio's scratchy, if the audio's not very good, you can hear a focus motor or the IBIS or whatever it is. It completely distracts you. So I think I'd say audio is almost more important than picture. Just frustrating. All right, let's take a look at comments again. Starting to lose my voice. And I didn't do a video today either, just this. Headset with mic moved away. Your Tascam did not connect. Check your gain again. Yeah, I did check that. This is right, Simon. Good. Okay, I use the Zoom HD, which has been great. Hey, Yusuf, good to see you. Thanks for joining. No, but Jesse, you've been watching me a long time. I don't want to, at this point, I don't want to just be okay. You know, I'm using a Canon R5 now. I'm using the 50mm f1.2. I'm trying to improve my game each time, and I feel like going to live stream, it's almost like I'm starting from square one again. So obviously the video is way better than that one last week. Once I'm done with this video, I'm going to go take a look at it online. I'm going to hear it. I'm going to see it. I want to see how it looks. If I'm happy with the video, we'll see. I'll probably go ahead and do another one of these, and maybe I've still got tomorrow's one scheduled, and I'll do that Q&A session because there's lots of really good stuff to talk about. And actually, the one thing I want to talk about right now, how many of you have bought, are interested in buying an M1 Mac, or even consider moving from Linux or Windows? I didn't grow up with Mac. I came to it kind of late in life. I started off with Commodores. I found that I bought Commodores because they were very affordable. I could do all my homework in school and everything with them. Then I moved to the Amiga. And then I moved to Windows with Windows 95 because Commodore went bankrupt. And I stuck with Windows for 10 years, but I was always cursing Windows. It was always making life frustrating for me because a lot of times I'd sit down to do work or whatever it was, and I'd have to solve a problem, or I'd install a new game and now drivers didn't work. I had to fiddle around with the registry. Every 6 months to a year, I'd re-image the machine. So I always had the drive partitioned, and with a good image, and I'd bring it back over. I found it frustrating. And then it was around 2007. I needed a new machine again, and everybody was saying Vista was bad. And I'm not talking about just consumer level. I'm talking corporate, consumer. Everybody was panning it. And I remember talking to my manager at the time, and I said, I need a new machine, but I'm not buying this. He says, what are you going to do, buy a Mac? And I thought, oh, well, yeah, why not? Let's take a look. Now, I played around with Linux and Unix, and they weren't quite there yet. What Mac OS is Linux, or it's Unix, right? It's based off of FreeBSD. And I've even used AS400s. I've used everything. I've got my hands encoded in everything. And what I've grew to like about the Macs is 9 times out of 10 or 99 times out of 100. When I sit down to do work, I lift it up and I start working. I don't have to solve software problems. And most of the times I do have an issue, it's either an update where they've got some bugs in it, or it's hardware. It's rare that I have problems I have to solve. So when I look at the architecture here, it's truly amazing what ARM has done. And if you go and follow the story about when Acorn, because this was developed, they developed this processor for their computer. It was called an Acorn, or the company was Acorn as well. They knew it was going to be low powered, and I remember the story of this guy saying he hooked it up to run some tests on it, and he was stunned because it said it wasn't drawing any power. And they checked. They said, well, how could this be? Well, when he went to connect up the monitor to it, they forgot to connect the power to it. So believe it or not, they were getting readout from this processor from residual energy. It wasn't drawing anything. So they were really low powered, but we're looking about the 80s and the 90s, and low power wasn't that big of a deal back then. And these ARM processors didn't give you any more performance than you could get with the Motorola 68000 series or Intel's 86 processors. So there wasn't really a big push for it. It wasn't until we started to moving to mobile phones that all of a sudden ARM became a lot more prominent. It became a lot more important. And then the big turning point for Apple is when Intel decided, yeah, you're not big enough for us to develop a mobile chip. So Apple started developing their own, and then they bought PA Semiconductor. And flash forward to today, they've got these M1 chips that are doing incredible performance, and it's not hype. Like I've got the MBA, or not MBA, the M1 MacBook Air or MBA, and prior to that I had the iMac Pro base model. And I think, what are they, $5,000 US? They're around 7,000 Canadian. It's a beast. And I used to take these videos like my family video. It was around 40 minutes long, 42 minutes. I've told this story before. Export it in H.265. And it took 50 minutes. Now, when I got the M1, I was up to about 50 minutes of video. Export it in H.265. It took 30 minutes on a machine a fourth the price. 30 minutes to export in H.265. So what I've started doing now is when I do my regular videos downstairs for the channel, like, hey, information on the R1 today, or my news and reviews, that kind of stuff, I no longer export using a YouTube container or a preset. Because when I export in H.265 on this machine, let's say it's a 10-minute video, when I export in H.265, it usually takes about 7 minutes. Whereas if I do with YouTube's regular one with an H.264, it can take twice as long. It can take 20 or 26 minutes with all the plugins. Believe that. So 7 minutes versus 26 minutes. And the reason why you use the YouTube one is because they say, well, if you use YouTube's one, it takes less time to process. And that's hogwash. So what I found out is it takes me less time to edit. It takes me less time to render and export. And once I get it up to YouTube, it takes less time to upload because it's smaller. It's about half the size. And it doesn't take YouTube very long to do its thing. So for all my videos now, I export in H.265. And you might not see that because YouTube will convert that over to H.264. But the gains that I've received from this computer that's a fourth the price of the MacBook, the iMac Pro, it's staggering. Like, it's cut down the amount of time I work on videos by a factor of 3 to 1. And that's significant. That's an outcome that's measurable. So it's very exciting to see that benefit. So that's why I'm really looking forward to WWDC, because that's where they're going to announce the MacBook Pro. I know it, they will. Will they do the 30-inch iMac? I wouldn't be surprised, because whatever processor they put in the MacBook Pro, they're probably going to put in that machine as well too. And it's going to be as powerful, if not more powerful, than the iMac Pro. So really, really staggering. All right, so after that rant, live streaming including audio, I can help. Okay, well, you know what, Mr. Camera Junkie? I am keenly interested in knowing how you can help, because that would be great. Yeah, that's awesome, because I want to save some money in my account. So when the R3 comes out, if that's something I really want to get, I can get it. Or other cameras, I don't want to always be spending. I want to have something there, so when an opportunity comes up, I can grab it. So thank you. I really do appreciate that. John says he's staying with Windows. Yeah, I used one for work last year when they redeployed me to one of the help desks. And you know what? I didn't have any problems with it. It's just, I guess I've been with Mac for 10 odd years now, and I've come to like it. You know, once you're with the system for a little while, you kind of get used to it. And here's the thing too, is all the videos that I've done are in Final Cut. So unless Mac really gets really bad, and they were pushing me away. They really were. I don't want to have to migrate everything over, so I'm probably going to stay with it for a while. But no, I'm glad to hear that Windows is getting better. I certainly like Microsoft's new approach. I really do love what they're doing. I love their software too. For work, we use it all the time. Teams is amazing. It's a really terrific app. Just wonderful. Like, I wish they had a consumer level of Teams that I could use for live streaming. It would be perfect. It really would. All right, so rambling on I go. Windows XP was my favorite. Oh, I remember that one too. And you know what I did with Windows XP? I always made it look like Windows 2000. I liked Windows 2000. I just liked that look. It was simple. Mr. Mayor, did you actually buy the M1? Yeah, they did a great job there. Would exporting in H.265 be beneficial in Windows 10? I can't answer that. So here's the thing. H.265 is much faster to render and edit than H.264. Don't comment yet. Let me explain. So from the Mac point of view, where H.265 is better it comes down to hardware. You need to have it hardware capable to be able to encode. So for example, a T2 chip in some of the Macs, but usually Apple will say something about hardware encoding of H.265. And with that, you're looking at a factor of like 60. I did a test with this 2015 MacBook Pro a couple of years ago. I took a 1-hour video and I exported an H.264. It took 52 minutes. H.265 took 22 hours. It's ridiculous, 22 hours. And then I had the 2016 MacBook Pro on loan with a T2 chip with H.265 encoding. It was actually able to do the same video in 2 minutes less than H.264, so in about 50 minutes. So on the Windows side, what you would probably need to check out is which graphics cards, which GPUs support H.265 encoding. I think that's what I'd be looking at on the Windows side. But on the Mac side, it's all about, does the hardware have does it support H.265 encoding? And then, of course, there's some software for it as well. But just staggeringly fast. Like, I'm glad I sold my iMac Pro. I sold it for $3,000 because when I did that one test, I thought, what the heck? I mean, how is it possible? How is it possible to spend a fourth the price and get that? And I edit 4K video all the time. I can edit 8K video. Now, I do have, when there are certain effects, things do stutter a little bit, but I think that is likely to do with one of two things. I have 8 gigabytes of RAM, but I think it has to do with the number of GPUs or something else, the way it's optimized. But if I'm not using like Motion VX, I'm just using regular stuff, it is super fast. It's just, and I don't convert to ProRes at all. This is straight out of the R5. Yeah, straight out of the R5. 4K high quality mode, 4K HQ, 4K fine. Doesn't drop frames. And I can do color grading, I can do effects. The only time it starts to glitch a little bit, but I even had this with the iMac Pro, that's when I'm using Motion VX. And I'll tell you, with the iMac Pro, if I layered a few of those things down, it slowed it right down. So I shouldn't just blame the M1, but and battery life. It only has 2 ports, so I thought, oh, okay, well, I need this one drive, so there's one USB-C, and I have to use the Ninja, so there's the other one. Well, believe it or not, so what do I make videos last week? They're mostly 10 minutes long. So, with a fully charged battery, I edited a 10-minute video, I rendered it, I exported it, I uploaded it, and I maybe got down to half a battery. I couldn't do that on any of my other Macs. And if you're just doing regular work, not like 4K editing, it'll go at a full day. Like my son doing his schoolwork, by the time he's done at the end of the day, I check the battery, it's around 60%. So it's just staggering what it can do. Guys, you guys got to have something better to do on a Friday night. You got 27 concurrent users on a Friday. That's it. Hey, Tom, good to see you, buddy. Yeah, thanks for coming in. I was just playing around, trying something, trying a new setup to see how it works. New Apple T2 chip stops Hackintosh versions running. I looked at getting a Hackintosh because I was sick and tired of Apple kicking us in the pants. And the first thing was the memory, soldering it onto the motherboard. And that one didn't bother me so much because, okay, I'll pay the Apple tax. I only need 32 gigs of RAM. Now, if you need more, then that Apple tax really kicks you in the butt. But the SSD, soldering that really bothered me. I really hate it. I said, I'm not buying another one of these. And I've since changed my tune a little bit. Now, first of all, they've cut the prices for their SSDs. It was silly about a year ago what they were charging for an SSD. But now for a Mac with a 1 terabyte, I go, well, okay, I wouldn't get more than 1 terabyte because then if you have a board failure, it's going to cost you even that much more to get it repaired. So I find that 1 terabyte is going to give you plenty of space that you're not going to wear it down very soon. You can put a couple of 100 gigabytes of music on there and other stuff for your editing, and basically it's your machine's going to be happy. But all my projects, I'm always editing off an SSD, and I'm only using SATA. I'm not using like the M2 or M.2. And I can edit 8K video and 4K video off of an SSD with like a Samsung Evo and not have a problem. Now, a lot of the stuff I'm editing off an Angelberg, which is what I use in the Ninja because I don't want to risk any dropped frames. But for my standard editing stuff, I'm just using one of those. And then that way, if the Mac dies, no big deal. I've got my desktop in the cloud, plug it into my other Mac, I can edit. I haven't lost any of my project files. So I never put in more than 1 terabyte in these machines because I can't upgrade them. But with the new M1 chips, there's actually now a very good justification for integrating the memory, so I'll give them that. But really, Apple, $450 to go from 16 gigabytes to 32 gigabytes of RAM? Seriously? If I spent that money at Mac sales, I could easily go up to 64 gigs. I hate that. I don't like being abused. All right, a lot of comments coming in. Let's take a look, see who else we have here. Jesse's talking to John. Oh, John, I love that. Wondering how my Commodore 64 handles H.265. Now, John, I do have to know, are you using the Commodore 64 or the 64C or the regular Commodore 64, the bread box? I got to know. I had the C64C with Geos, and that's how I got through high school up until 87 when I got the Amiga 500. So, yeah, I love the Commodores. They were fun. I still play some. I've got one of the mini Commodores now. NA Films. Hey, so I'm mainly a basketball videographer, photographer. I need my glasses here, and I'm currently on a A6300, and I want to upgrade to a full frame. I'm torn between getting the A7S III or saving some money to get the A7C, or getting the A7C. I had the A7S III, and it is a solid camera. But here's the thing. I'm going to make it more difficult for you, because if you're looking at the A7S III, why aren't you looking at the FX3? So consider those the same, because they are. One thing you can do too is, because Peter Gregg Live, when he does his live view, he actually has, I believe, the A7S III and the A7C, and you can see both of them side by side. It depends on the return on investment you're planning. I will usually spend a little bit more and get a camera body that's more capable, so I don't have to upgrade in a long time. But and since they're both Sonys, you don't have to worry. The lenses aren't an issue, because you can use whatever lenses you want. So if you spend a little bit more, get the A7S III or the FX3, then you're going to be more video capable. It's going to take longer for you to outgrow the camera. As a Canon user, I had the 70D, and I still had a bunch of professional grade lenses. So my choices were a lot more difficult than yours, because to upgrade, if you didn't go for the R5 or the R6, it was pretty terrible. The video capabilities of Canon's cameras at the time. And the R6 was only about $1,000 less than the R5, but the R5 gave you so much more. And you're able to grow so much more with it. And even, I think it was in February, I started shooting 8K video just for the fun of it, and I fell in love with it. I don't do it all the time, but I love it. So I'm glad I have a more capable camera. So really consider that A7S III, it's going to be more video capable for you, or the FX3 as well. So when Sony announced the FX3, I kind of thought, well, that kind of kills off the A7S III, doesn't it? What's the point of getting the A7S III? And of course, then there's the Alpha 1. But I think the Alpha 1, that's a whole nother level of hurt. Spend $6,500 on a body. That would be tough for me to do. I mean, the R5, if it wasn't for the channel, I probably would have gotten the R5, but I probably wouldn't have had I wouldn't have bought any lenses. I would have just stayed with the R5 and used my regular EF lenses. So yeah, I understand your pain. It's not an easy decision. Yeah, and Jesse says, yeah, the A7S III too. Yeah, look, 4K 120, I gotta tell you, it's brilliant. And get yourself like a Ninja as well, like a Ninja 5 or the Ninja 5 Plus. Well, the Ninja 5 Plus is expensive, but the Ninja 5, now what you're doing, you're not getting those really compressed rates that Sony gives you, and even their all-eye is not that great. Whereas if you're getting the Ninja, you're pulling the detail right off the sensor, giving you really, really high quality Apple ProRes or some of the other formats if you want them. So consider a Ninja as well with the A7S III, but it's a terrific camera, 4K 120, buttery smooth, slow motion, it's awesome. Instagram, so the 4K doesn't matter. So what I would do in any films is do a capability map. Ask yourself what capabilities you absolutely need, like what outcomes you need out of a camera today, and then go 3 and 5 years out and ask yourself what capabilities you need then. And if 4K isn't there and you don't think you're going to need it, well then, you know what? Don't spend the extra money on something you probably won't need. That's a very good point. You have an Apple II 48K with mutant camels. Oh, you know what? I don't have Amigas anymore because I was too worried of them breaking, so I sold them, and you'd be surprised at what I sold them for. And what I use is emulation software now. So I've actually got, any Amiga fans in the room, I've got, well, with the iMac Pro, I was actually able to run the Amiga like it was a PowerPC based Amiga. And I'm wondering what it'd be like to run on the, I wonder if I could run it on the M1, or maybe the software's not compatible. I got to try that out. I'll have to try that out. All right, let's see, what other questions do we have here? Hey, Simon, dig the videos. Shout out from Alberta. Oh, Jordan, well, thanks for joining us. I was actually doing a little bit of a collab with one of your local channel guys out there, Jordan Drake. This is an opportunity to plug a contest I have. I did the spring challenge, and one of the reasons for doing that is I was down, miserable, long winter, and I know a lot of people felt the same, so I wanted to do the same thing I did last year, but only this time have a prize. And I was quite happy the way that went, so I thought, well, here we are, we're in lockdown again. I wanted to do another contest, but I wanted a different theme, and I wanted it to be a theme that would be all-encompassing, that would be more open to many people, and I called it the Night Challenge. So what I want you, the whole point of this night challenge is to go outside and shoot whatever you want to shoot. Nightlife, city life, replicate a scene from your favorite movie or TV show. Shoot the moon, shoot Saturn and Jupiter. I've done it. You can do it with the right lenses. And if you go ahead and watch that video, I don't have the links because this is a live stream, but if you look at that video, I published it last weekend. Jordan does a 20-second spot where he talks about the challenges of shooting at night using night lights and all different sorts of illumination to do it. And I'm going to be giving away a Weeble S. And Jordan is going to select the winner. I'm going to select the 5 finalists, and Jordan's actually going to pick the winner and say why. And so that's really exciting. So a local guy for you, Jordan Drake, is going to be picking the winner. And the 5 finalists will also get an Ordinary Filmmaker baseball cap. And I'm happy to report that people are receiving them. One person received them today, so if you did buy one, you should be getting them very soon. And if you do want one, like, they're a good quality cap. It's a denim cap. It's really high quality made, and on the back it's got a buckle, metal buckle, so high quality cap. $34.99 at ordinaryfilmmaker.com. So if you don't want to buy one, don't feel the pressure to do so, but if you would like to, it's right there. All right, John, the Ninja 5 Plus was just announced and can do, well, Jesse, the Ninja 5 the Ninja 5 Plus can also do 8K. Now it's $1,500, so I don't know that I can afford it, but if I was going to shoot a lot of 8K video, you put the Ninja 5 Plus on top of the R5, shoot 8K. I don't know that you can shoot it indefinitely, but you're going to be able to shoot a whole lot more than 20 minutes. Honey, do what you need to do. Don't worry about me here. My wife's in the... Yeah, go use the shower and stuff. The microphone won't pick up a lot of stuff. And besides, I'm going to be ending soon. I told my wife, I said, go about your life. Don't worry about me. I'm just trialing something out. And I like it when I do these live streams that they go about their normal life, because it allows me to be able to see how well these mics work in practice, and for you guys too. All right, let's see here. I'm going to wind this up in about 5 minutes or so. Oh, thank you. I'm your number one camera news source. I appreciate that, Alvaro. I think that's your name, because I should be wearing my glasses. I can't read the screen from here. That's why I keep going back. Yeah, no, I get a sense. I actually talked to him for about 15 minutes one day. I was asking him some advice because I was sick and tired of how difficult it was to edit with the R5 with Canon Log. And he more or less said, yeah, no, I've got similar issues. These are some of the techniques I use. But since they've come out with Canon Log 3, I find it so much more easier to edit with. But this is where I think the Sony does a much better job. When you're capturing, it'll expose for the subject. So studio work like this, it doesn't matter. I set everything up. I check the zebras. I check the histogram. I put false color on. Easy peasy. But shooting outside with a full frame camera, when you got various light changes happening, even on a cloudy day, going from dark cloud to light cloud can completely change your exposure. And you could be underexposed and overexposed. But the way the Sonys do it, so much smoother. Like you don't even notice the changes happening because it's focused on the subject, and then slowly the background will change a little bit, but not so much on the person. I think Sony does that so well. Last comment here. I'll take the last comment from... Yeah, that price point is pretty high, Jesse, on it. But, you know, if 8K video is your thing, I need to find out a bit more about why it is that price. And so here's my thought. They couldn't get away with charging that price for the Ninja 5 Plus if it couldn't deliver unlimited 8K. Otherwise, what's the point, right? Because the Ninja 5 will do 4K 60. Are you going to pay an extra $1,000 just to get 4K 120 and 8K if it can't do unlimited? So... I don't know. We'll see. All right, last question or last comment is from Joe. Hi from Vegas. I bought the Tamron 17 to 28 and the 28 to 70 last month on sale. Congrats. I still haven't decided on the 70 to 180. Any suggestions? You look like you're going for the Holy Trinity there. So this is where I love live streams. Well, what do you shoot? What are your goals? Like, what do you want to do? Like, if you look at my lenses, they're all over the place. I've got the 50mm f1.2, which I shoot for most stuff. I've got the 24 to 105. If I get on a plane and go anywhere, that's the lens I'm taking with me. It's very versatile. It's going to be good for a lot of what I'm doing, along with a very variable ND filter. Then I have the 800mm, and that's for shooting wildlife and the stars. So it really depends on what you're trying to shoot. It's hard for me to say if that's a good lens. If you want to do wildlife and stuff, then you're probably going to go something like, I don't know, 70 to 200, a 70 to 180, 70 to 180 is pretty close. And what about some primes? Primes are awesome. Like a 50mm, a 20mm, 24mm. What I love about, enter the scene again, what I love about primes is they teach you to be a really good photographer and filmmaker, because what a lot of us do, I did this for many years myself, what do you do with a zoom? Frame your family. Oh, here, let's adjust the zoom. There we go. You frame it with a zoom, and that's not how you're supposed to shoot. It's not how you're supposed to shoot at all, so let me let you in on a little bit of a secret. When you're setting up a photo, you need to ask yourself, what's the depth of field I have? Do I want to separate my subject from the background? Do I want everything to be in sharp focus? How do I want things to look? And usually, once you have that answer, then you think, yeah, I want it to look like a 50mm. Okay, so what you do is, imagine this is a 24 to 105, I'll set it to 50mm. And then I'll look through the viewfinder or the LCD, and I think, okay, no, that's not frame right. So I'll then walk up or walk back, shift left or right, whatever I do, to frame it properly. And then I'm going to get the look I want, because if you just constantly keep using that zoom, you're going to take different photos each time. You're like, oh, how come this photo looks so much better? So that's why I love a prime. So think of some primes. Even think of some macros as well. But without knowing what you shoot, it's very tough to answer those questions. You have to look at the Rokinon. Yes, 14 millimeter. The only thing I'm afraid about the 14 millimeter is it's a bit too wide. I think 16 is probably where I want to be from the tests that I've done, but we'll check it out. But $250, and they're not paying me to say this, but now that the Rokinon, that's I believe the autofocus version, correct? Because I knew, was it Rokinon or Samyang? But they have an autofocus version, and this isn't, but still $250. It's pretty incredible. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for tuning into this edition of The Ordinary Filmmaker, this live stream that I just decided to do all of a sudden. I can't believe that, I've managed to maintain at least 24 concurrent viewers for the past hour or so. You must have a pretty boring night if you're going to watch me that whole time. But no, seriously, thank you so much for tuning in. One thing, please like and subscribe. And if you do subscribe, once I get to 30,000 subscribers, I'm going to be giving away 2 Angelbird, not CF Express cards, UHS-2 V90 SD cards. So that's 2 of them, as well as an Angelbird dual SD card reader. So that'll be one prize bundle. The other prize bundle is, again, these LED lights. Not those particular ones, but they're from the same company. I've got 5 different lights. There's an underwater light, accent light, and a couple of flat panel lights. One that even fits in the hot shoe. And those are the Ulanzi LED light package. I'm giving those away too. So, and of course, the contest for the night challenge. Lots of giveaways. Take my stuff. Don't leave them on the table. So once again, thanks so much for watching The Ordinary Filmmaker. And we'll see you again soon, like tomorrow morning. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.